You believe that professional courtesy is a shield against the hunger of the boardroom wolves. The Zhou dynasty collapsed the moment they prioritized ritualistic tradition over the... However, your cherished ethics are actually a psychological leash designed by your competitors to ensure your predictability. For over 25 centuries, the scrolls of Sun Tzu have functioned as the silent, cold-blooded manual for a While you desperately negotiate for a seat at the table, the secret elite are already met. They understand a truth you are too afraid to whisper. It is a mass grave of the idealistic. You have been told that competition is about being better. This is a lie fed to the masses to ensure they fight fair while the architects of power overrule the rules themselves. In the high-frequency servers of the 21st century, the mud of ancient China has been replaced by silicon, but the objective remains unchanged. You do not win by playing the game. You win by ensuring the game cannot continue without your permission. This is what Sun Tzu called foreknowledge, the ability to see the enemy's move before they even conceive of it. Today, this ancient mandate has been quantified into a global industry. Competitive intelligence is no longer a luxury for the paranoid. It is a $50.87 billion weapon used by the 2024 global elite to dismantle their opposition with surgical precision. Machiavelli warned that the prince who does not understand the art of war will never be respected by his soldiers or safe from his enemies. In the boardroom, the spirit of the 5th century BC lives on. Knowing the enemy is not a suggestion. It is the only way to survive the systematic erosion of your market share. Every data point is a scout. Every quarterly report is a vulnerability assessment. You are either the technician of your rival's collapse, or you are the inventory being liquidated. The battlefield has not vanished. It has simply become invisible to the untrained eye. If you cannot see the war, you are already losing it. Success is not found in the clashing of steel, but in the calculated psychological submissiveness of those you intend to replace. Control the information, and you control the terrain. Control the terrain, and the outcome is decided before the first shot is ever fired. This is the lethal reality of the $50.87 billion market for foreknowledge. It is the price of total victory. Sun Tzu taught a secret that the impulsive will never master. When you are strong, you must appear weak. Most men are too fragile in their ego to follow this path. They want the world to see their ambition. They want the status of a winner before they have won the war. In the board, it invites the crushing weight of the incumbent before your foundations are set. The global elite do not announce their arrival. They seep in like a slow-moving fog. Consider the Netflix gambit. In the early 2000s, they did not challenge the giants for total market share. They positioned themselves as a niche service. They were the DVD by mail outlier. To a titan like Blockbuster, they were a curiosity. They appeared weak. They were struggling to gain a foothold in traditional retail. This was the mask. By staying beneath the threshold of a credible threat, they evaded the frontal assault that would have destroyed them in their infancy. While Blockbuster maintained the expensive illusion of physical dominance, Netflix was silently securing the technological terrain. They were building the data servers and the logistics of the future. They waited for the opportune moment. They stayed small until they were ready to be inevitable. This is the calculated erosion of a competitor's vision. By the time Netflix pivoted to streaming and dropped the mask of the underdog, the terrain had already shifted. The hill Blockbuster was standing on had turned into quicksand. The incumbent was blinded by its own arrogance, precisely as Sun Tzu intended. You must move through the market as a ghost. If you are perceived, you are a target. If you are ignored, you are a predator. Victory is not found in the clashing of steel, but in the psychological submissiveness of the enemy who believes he has already won. Do not fight for the center. Occupy the periphery until you own the frame. Sun Tzu wrote that an army may be likened to water. Water runs away from high places and hastens downwards. It does not strike the mountain, it finds the path around it. In the high-stakes theater of modern industry, this is the principle of attacking the white space. Most men are blinded by ego. They believe that to be the best, they must defeat the strongest player in his own backyard. They attempt a frontal assault on an established... This is not strategy. This is suicide. A true master of power never seeks a fair fight. He seeks the thin point. This is the place where the enemy's defense is nothing more than a paper wall. Consider the maneuver executed by Tesla. They did not enter the market by challenging the manufacturing might of the global automotive giants in the mass market sector. To do so would have invited immediate and total annihilation. Instead, they retreated to a niche their competitors deemed irrelevant, the high-end electric luxury market. They found the terrain where the giants felt too safe to bother with a defense. They occupied the high ground of the elite long before they ever looked at the common man. By the time the incumbents realized the niche was actually a gateway to the entire world, the terrain dominance had been secured. This is how you bypass a fortress. You do not scale the walls. You find the one gate the guards forgot to lock. But understand the stakes of this game. The window of opportunity is narrow. The regulatory landscape has shifted into a weapon of attrition. As of January 10, 2024, the civil penalty for market manipulation or the spread of false information has been adjusted to a staggering maximum of $1,472,546 per violation. If your maneuver is clumsy, the state will use your own strategy to bankrupt you. You must move like Napoleon at Austerlitz. You draw the enemy into a position of perceived strength only to strike the flank they left exposed. You do not win by being better. You win by being where the enemy is not. You target the underserved, the ignored, and the forgotten. You strike the white space until the white space becomes the entire map. Only then do you reveal your true intent. By then, it is too late for them to react. The battle was over before it ever began. Everything they believed up to this point was wrong. Privacy is a relic of a primitive age. You believe your boardroom is a sanctuary. It is actually a glass house under constant, unblinking surveillance. Sun Tzu dedicated an entire chapter to the use of spies because he knew that intuition is the luxury of the doomed. Modern giants do not guess, they quantify. The global competitive intelligence market is now a $50 billion mandate. This is Sun Tzu's foreknowledge fueled by silicon and cold intent. You are currently witnessing an arms race in predictive analytics. Tools like IBM's Granite 3.0 and Microsoft's Dynamics 365 are the new scouts. They monitor every rival price pivot and marketing shift in real time. In this environment, stealth is not just difficult, it is impossible. Every move you make produces a data shadow that your enemies are already measuring. But the most shocking, consider the sheer scale of the digital attrition currently unfolding. The FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report revealed that economic losses from digital warfare surged to $16.6 billion. That is a 33% increase in a single year. This is corporate espionage wearing a digital mask. $2.8 billion of that was lost. These are not mere hacks. They are high-level stratagems. They represent the calculated use of social engineering to breach a rival's treasury and bleed them dry before a single product is even launched. Even the law has been weaponized as a tool of maneuver. They ignored the tactical necessity of timing. They failed to wait for the opportune moment. The Federal Trade Commission has shifted from passive oversight to vigorous enforcement. They returned over $267 million in redress in 2024. In the modern theater of war, the regulator is often the mercenary you hire to slow your enemy down. It is an industry founded on the death of the secret. If you are not monitoring them, if you are not watching the data, you are the target. True power does not seek a shared table. It seeks a solitary throne. You have been lied to about the nature of growth. They told you the market is an expanding ocean where all ships rise. That is a fairy tale for the sheep. In a saturated world, the ocean has stopped rising. For your ship to float higher, you must drill holes in the hulls of those around you. This is the zero-sum reality that billionaires like Larry Ellison understood decades ago. It is the dark logic of the Oracle. His philosophy was never about participation. It was about erasure. He famously mirrored the spirit of the ancient strategist Sun Tzu when he noted that it is not enough for him to succeed. All others must fail. This is the ultimate synthesis of the dark strategy. You do not win by being better. You win by ensuring your rival no longer exists to compete. In the boardrooms of the global elite, empathy is a luxury they cannot afford. They view market share as a finite piece of territory. A 1% gain for them is a 1% existential loss for the enemy. They do not wait for the market to give them space. They create space by dismantling the structures of their competitors brick by brick. They use the 5 factors of success: culture, trends, geography, leadership, and process, not as tools for building, but as scalpels for dissection. They identify the thin points and apply relentless pressure until the bone snaps. This is not cruelty. It is the cold mathematics of dominance. The world is moving toward an era of total visibility where stealth is dead. With AI-driven monitoring and global intelligence markets valued at over $50 billion, you can only make your strike so overwhelming that defense becomes irrelevant. You must embrace the predatory growth model. You do not grow by planting seeds. You grow by consuming the harvest of those too weak to protect it. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power. In the high-frequency servers of the 21st century, that will manifest as the systematic destruction of the opposition's air supply. This is how you achieve total victory. You do not negotiate with a rival. You absorb them. You do not compete for a niche. You occupy the terrain until the opposition is forced onto death ground. If this made you uncomfortable, good. Most people will spend their lives wondering why they were crushed while they followed the rules. They never realized the rules were written by the victors to keep the losers predictable. Power belongs to those who see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. Balance is for the weak. Domination is for those who understand that in the theater of modern commerce, there are no prizes for second place. There is only the victor and the lesson. Silence is your greatest ally. Strategy is your only weapon. Subscribe before you leave. And drop a comment. Which dark truth hit you hardest?